Which brings me to the medium issue that I reported that I'm not sure if it will be accepted. I hope so. But what issue do you see here? Guys, I want you to take a look here in the constructor and what kind of state is not good and it can happen. Look at this required statements. What is missing? Something is missing, in my opinion. I don't want to show you. I want you to come up with it by yourself. Yes, exactly. Buyer can be arbiter, not only buyer, also seller. There is no check that the buyer and the seller are not the arbiter. And the whole idea with escrow is that the arbiter will be a third party, right? So we can deploy a contract where seller is the arbiter or buyer is the arbiter, or all of them are the same account, same address. And I think this is a medium issue because if we deploy an escrow contract with the same address as buyer and arbiter or seller and arbiter, we basically lose the meaning of the contract. So I guess it's medium. Okay, so in that case, the seller will not provide the service. Yeah, makes sense. Probably it will be rejected, but I don't know. We can just add this test over here, another required statement. Buyer not equal arbiter, seller not equal arbiter, and that's it. Why do we need to get into these corners if we can just verify it on-chain on the contract? It's just another required statement, and they already spend a lot of gas deploying the contract every time. So another required statement won't make that much of a difference. Yeah, the code base a lot of off-chain trust. True. This whole idea of escrow is basically off-chain trust because also there is this function confirm receipt, which is only the buyer can call. It basically says, I confirm the seller delivered the job. Now he can never buy it, confirm it, right? Because you can decide never to call it, but he will not be able to get the money back. The only way for the buyer to get the money back is through a dispute and through the arbiter. That's why I think this is actually a valid issue because this lets the seller to get the money back. If you just do not confirm the receipt of lets the buyer get the money back. Because if the seller did not provide and he doesn't confirm the receipt, the money is still stuck in the contract. He cannot retrieve it back. But if he's also the arbiter, he can initiate the dispute as the buyer, and then he can resolve the dispute as the arbiter. We have these modifiers, only buyer or seller, only arbiter. So he can say, as the buyer initiated the dispute, I didn't get the money, and then he can just say that the buyer reward is 100% and get the money and scam and rug pull the seller. Yeah, there was another required statement that arbiter could be address 0. There is no, if you can see here, there is no if statement that arbiter is address 0, which means that we can create an escrow contract with arbiter without arbiter because the arbiter would be address 0, which means that we can initiate a dispute and this dispute can never be resolved because we have here this modifier and the arbiter is address 0. So we can never resolve it. And they said I saw it, they said that it's okay that a contract can be without arbiter, but I don't think it's okay. I wouldn't design it that way because if there is a disagreement and the buyer will never call the confirm receipt, this is the only way to release the funds. And with arbiter, we have another way to release the funds from the contract. So I don't know. It's questions about like how real escrow should be and how it should be designed. But if I would design it, I would require an arbiter in that case. And I would require that the arbiter wouldn't be the buyer or the seller. Yeah, it's pretty solid. There are not many issues because the logic is pretty simple and there is not much functionality here. There's not much you can do with the contract, but this whole thing with the arbiter, there isn't, it could be seller and buyer. This is the only thing I reported as medium. I don't know if it will be accepted.